up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Mr. Movie Review Tuesday. Today, once again, I have my buddy Brandon here with me. And we're going to be doing an edition of Remake or Reject. And today we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters. Now, the original Ghostbusters and the sequel, I love those movies. I was not big on that remake. But he's a guest. I'm gonna let Brandon take the floor first. So, what are your thoughts on both of them, as far as comparisons and whatnot?
The original Ghostbusters that came out in 1984 was absolutely. Not only was it absolutely hilarious, but it was just exhilarating in a way because it was absolutely the comedic mastery of Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Harold Ramis, all mixed together, just made this, chemical mixture of absolute comedy,
gold.
Cold gold, and it was just a one of a kind, almost like thing that happened just all of a sudden, And I don't know, the story was good, the acting was good, everything just fell into place.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those rare occurrences where it was just perfect.
Yeah, it was just a rare diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And you'll get a lot of those movies from time to time. Just a diamond in the rough that just comes, and just like, wow. And it kick-started a phenomenon there for a while in the 80s, which I was a part of because I had Ghostbusters figures, I had the Ecto-1, I had, I had things like that, I had the Proton Pack toy and just,
I never had that. I never had the Proton Pack. I had the figures and I had Ghostbusters clothes. I never got the Proton Pack.
I think I probably had some clothes and of course I watched the cartoon all the time. I had the I distinctly remember. I think I got it for Christmas one year. I think, but I had that helicopter, the Ghostbusters helicopter.
Yeah.
They had in the cartoon series. But I loved
the Hi-C Ecto Cooler. Did you ever try that?
Yes, I did.
That was delicious.
Yes, it was.
It was a slime green color, but it tasted great.
And speaking of slime, I think it was the Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters made me, there for a while when I was a kid, completely obsessed with slime. I was completely obsessed with it. So the first Ghostbusters, the original one, outstanding. The remake, I liked it okay, but it just did not. It didn't live up to the first original, and it'll probably it was just done in such a way that it could never be done. I don't really think it could ever be done again. It starred some ladies that played, and they're comedy actresses because 3 of the actresses in the movie are on SNL, and Melissa McCarthy is a comedy-like actress.
Okay. I know Kristen Wiig and
Wiig and Kate McKinnon.
Who the blonde, is that Kate McKinnon?
Yeah,
I have no idea who she is.
Yeah, Kate McKinnon was the tech genius in this movie, and Kristen Wiig was the scholar.
Yeah.
And I can't think of her name, Bernadette or something, but the black lady, she also plays on SNL. She's kind of a comedic actress too, and you can see what they were trying to do. I thought there were some elements of the movie they done kind of good. I sort of liked the opening sequence because it was the opening sequence of the original Ghostbusters was really good because it opens it comes to that when they go to the library. But before we get to the library, get to that part of the library, one of the librarians there was she was just going through her normal daily library duties, putting books up, doing this, and you see books fly across the shelf, just subtle things like that. Then then what really starts tipping it off is then all the cards start flying out of their little slots where you go look up books, and she's running around trying to get away from whatever this thing is she thinks is doing. And then she finally runs up on the ghost and she starts screaming, and that's when iconic music and Ghostbusters thing comes across the screen. And in the remake, they tried to follow a similar pattern, but instead of it being a library, it's an old haunted house.
Yeah.
And it's the guy that kind of does these tours. He goes around and he tries to make it sound like there's actually something that's going on, there with these little gadget that he uses to knock over a candle thing. And it's a good. I thought it was a good attempt at trying to, kind of playing homage to the original a little bit. And then he finally starts. The door opens, and he starts to realize, so he goes down there out of curiosity, and of course there's actually a real spirit there. Then they got the slime bubbling up over the floor, and he starts screaming like a girl. And I thought that was I kind of liked that a little bit. So that was kind of. I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
But there was other parts of the movie that just. I don't know. I think I thought the special effects were really good, without just being overly over the top. But I thought the girls at the end fighting the ghost, like they were, I thought that was taking that a little too far.
Yeah.
With some of the gadgets they had, and
like the thing with the fist.
I kind of thought. I thought some of that was a decent attempt at some different stuff, but it's like. Maybe some of that stuff should have come along in later.
Yeah.
Why don't you just stick to the basics right now?
I think one of my big complaints about the remake is, to me, the actresses didn't have that same chemistry as Dan, Bill,
That's
and
a
Harold.
good point. That's
they
a good point.
They seem to lack that chemistry.
Yeah.
Because even in the original, when they brought Ernie Hudson's character, Winston, in, he fit in with them.
Yes, he did.
And with the four of them, it was complete. You had 4 distinct personalities,
yes,
but they meshed well together.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't see that in the remake.
It didn't. You're right. That's a very good point. Because at times in the movie, it seemed like something was off.
Yeah.
And I think that you hit the nail on the head. The chemistry between the actresses just wasn't
the
really
timing and the comedic timing and the delivery. It was just all.
It was all off. It was all off, but a lot. And I think the 2 biggest chemistry that we got was Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy's characters. They were about the only 2 that really mixed in.
Yeah.
Because their characters obviously had a history in the movie. But like James said, it does seem like the chemistry just wasn't there, nowhere near compared to what the guys done. And I think one of the things that threw a lot of people off, that I was willing to give a chance, was. It seemed like a lot of people were throwing it back by now. It's all women instead of all men.
See, and I had no complaints about that.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't, but then there was a lot of people that did. And I'm on the side with James on that. I really didn't have no complaints with it. But if there is one complaint I will say is that I kind of wished, even though this was a remake, I kind of still wished it existed in the same universe.
Yeah.
And that these ladies were family related in some ways to the guys.
Which and that's another thing right there is. When I first saw the teaser trailer, it started out by saying something like 30 years ago, 4 scientists saved New York City and the world, or something like that.
Yeah, that right there, the first trailer that came out.
And that's very misleading, because you're looking at something that's going to tie into the original,
right? But
they completely take it. They completely just make the first 2 in this universe not canon. It's like these didn't happen.
Yeah, this is a completely different Ghostbusters universe, and the ones that took place in the 80s, they don't exist in here, even though some of the actors that played in those movies made small cameo appearances.
But they didn't play their characters.
They didn't play their characters. They just played other, out of this world characters, and. I don't think I would reject it entirely, but it's not something that I would just watch all the time. It's one of those every once in a while, or just go rent it and watch it. I would give it if this was DV Doosday, show, I would from X-Play, I can't remember what it was, but I would give it a rent I would give the movie a rent, not a buy. You know.
For me,
I think you just.
It's a full-on reject.
Full-on reject.
I just have so many dislikes about this movie that I can't see myself sitting through and watching it again. And in all honesty, I was glad that they scrapped the sequel idea, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, it did fairly well at the box office.
So.
But it received so much hate that they scrapped the idea for the sequel. They're not going to do the sequel.
Oh, so they've been scrapped the sequel.
They completely scrapped the sequel idea.
I didn't know that. Because as far as I was concerned, I thought they were actually going through with the sequel of this, but I guess this must be fairly recent.
I think I saw something about it a week or so ago, maybe a week or 2 weeks ago.
Fairly recent.
But yeah, the last news article I read, they've completely scrapped the sequel.
Oh, wow.
Because it did fairly well in the theaters, but they received so much hate over this movie.
Oh my goodness. But in some ways, while I did kind of enjoy the movie, in some ways they deserve it, because, like you said with the first trailer, it's very misleading, because you're thinking you're getting a movie that's like, okay, well, it's not the same people, but somehow it's connected to the other one, but then you find out it's in its own universe, and it's like, wow, that sucks.
And had they gone with the original story that I heard, I could have accepted it more.
Yeah.
Because the original story I heard is that the 4 original Ghostbusters were turning over the business to a new League of Busters, which is kind of what they did in that video game one time. They're like training new recruits and that kind of thing. Now, in the original concept, the 4 Ghostbusters were going to make appearances, but they weren't going to be the main cast.
Yeah.
They were going to turn it over to a new set. I could have accepted that more, especially with what they say at the top of the teaser.
30 years ago, 30 years I'd saved the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have accepted that more, but I don't know. And another thing I hated about this movie is Chris Hemsworth's character in it. They tried to make him like a sort of a lovable doofus, but he just came off being an idiot to me.
He was kind of funny, but like you said, he really was not. He really went further than doofus. He was just a straight up
moron.
Pardon my French, dumbass.
Exactly.
I mean, pardon my French for that.
He was a dumbass.
But I mean, like when he puts his finger through his glasses, I just took the lenses out. I got tired of wiping them.
Like, why are you wearing them?
It's like, just stuff like that. It's like, wow, they really made this guy stupid.
Yeah.
But now I tip my hat to Chris Hemsworth, who is actually, he's not just for people who he's not a meathead. He's actually a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
And I tip my hat to him, because he played the role pretty good for how it was written for him, but I just didn't like the way the character was written.
And I think one of the faults with Chris Hemsworth is he's been typecast as Thor.
Yeah, he's typecast as Thor. Yes.
And I think he's trying to take these roles to kind of broaden his
horizon.
Yeah, because so people don't always connect him with, oh, he's Thor. But I mean, he's taking roles like this, and it's not working out to his benefit.
No, not really. Even though he done what was written, it just like you said, he's typecast basically right now as Thor. And some actors try to break out of that typecast so strongly, it's like some will do anything.
And then they take on bad roles.
And then they may wind up taking on bad roles.
And in this role, it's like they tried to add an element of slapstick comedy, but it fell flat. It was just it went from being slapstick to just dumb.
Yeah, which brings me to the I can accept the remake if it's done right, but that brings us to the question of a lot of these remakes and reboots are just not written right.
No.
And like you're saying with the slapstick comedy, it just goes to being stupid. It's like they purposely try to write stuff that's being dumb. They don't try to put any thought into it.
Yeah, but they're like, oh, this will be funny, and it's really not.
And it's really not that funny. I mean, has the audiences nowadays gotten so poorly do they have to be entertained so cheaply that the comedy just goes beyond slapstick or silly to just outright stupid?
Because if you go back to the original,
yeah,
that was it was actually the concept was a little far fetched, but it was an intelligent comedy.
Yeah, it was an intelligent comedy because they actually took the thing very seriously. This movie, they tried to take it seriously at times, but I don't know. It just didn't go over as well doing it.
No.
And the humor in the original Ghostbusters was dry for the most part, but you had 3 top-notch comedians.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, and they're just having they're just having fun, really, in a way. They're doing what they do best.
Which is why the first Ghostbusters was so well done, because Bill Murray said he loved doing the first one.
Yeah.
He said it was like a magical experience. But you fast forward to when they did the second one, he said it was a good movie, but the same feeling wasn't there, which is why he said he would never sign on for part 3. He said it just didn't have that same feel to it. Now, I love the second one. The second one was great to me.
That's where I kind of disconnect a little bit. I have mixed feelings about the second one. I thought they should have, as far as the villain and the story of some of the stuff, it's fine. I just didn't like the way the Ghostbusters they were heroes at the end, and then you start out the movie and it's just like, well, what the heck happened? They just been disowned all again. They've been shut down again.
They blew up the building. They tore up New York City.
Well, I mean, like they were being celebrated at the end of the last movie. I at least carry that on to at least the first part of the movie. And if they want to shut them down for a little bit, that's fine, I guess. But
I kind of have something happen to at the end of the first one, they're heroes. You pick up with the second one, they're still heroes, but they make a monumental screw up.
Yeah, they make a monumental screw up.
And that's where it starts going downhill.
Yeah, then that starts going downhill. Then that's when they come in and say, you guys need to stop this. But I don't know, the lake of slime and the villain coming out of the mirror.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff was kind of good about the second one. But you can even tell watching it, it didn't look like the guys were having as much fun.
Yeah.
Because you go back and you watch the first one, it's like they're just having a ball. Especially when Bill Murray comes out of the after they catch their first ghost, and he's
Slimer.
like, yeah, he's like, we came, we saw, we kicked its ass, and it's just like they just having fun on set, And when like you saying, he said it was like magic. When you have that feeling going on, to me, it probably just makes everything about a movie that much better.
And it was actually Ghostbusters 2, if I'm not mistaken, that's really started putting a strain on the relationship between Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, because it was that one, and then they did Groundhog Day a couple of years later, and I think it was after Groundhog Day, Bill and Harold did not speak for years.
Dang. See, I never knew about a lot of this until, maybe these, for the reason I didn't know that.
But a lot of this came out right around the time of Harold Ramis' death.
Oh.
Which to me, because he was one of the creators of the original Ghostbusters, him and, Dan Aykroyd. I think they were the ones who came up with the concept, and then, I'm going to shoot myself because I can't remember who directed it, the original. I think he directed both of them. And like I said, I'm gonna shoot myself because I can't remember, because this guy is like epic. But
what they should have done with Ghostbusters 2 is they should have made it sooner. They didn't make it soon enough. I think if they had made it 2 or 3 years instead of 5 years.
I think it was 5. It was like a 5-year gap.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, if they had made it just a few years after, I think things might have been a little different. I think we would have seen a more, because if you, not to touch on a whole other movie franchise, but like Back to the Future flowed.
Yeah.
The whole movie series flowed because.
And the thing about it was almost a continuous film.
It was exactly. It was almost a continuous
filming.
Yeah, it was almost a continuous filming. If they had done something similar to that with the Ghostbusters, maybe the sequel came out maybe just 2 or 3 years later, and then another sequel came out 2 or 3 years after that. Things would have flowed a lot better. I don't know what, I don't know what happened.
I don't think they come up with a good storyline.
Yeah, they may not have at that point.
But Ghostbusters 3 had been in the work for years.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 3 had actually been in the talks and everything for. I guess you could say it kind of was in development hell for a long time, and then they finally. I think when Harold Ramis died, that's what put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, because they had actually started to break Bill Murray down by that point, and he had actually started entertaining the notion of doing part 3.
Part 3.
But then Harold Ramis died,
and it just kind of shot it down.
And I think that's another thing the remake suffered from is I think they rushed production on it.
Yeah.
It almost seems like, because news had break, okay, Ghostbusters 3 is going to happen, Bill Murray signed on, Dan Aykroyd, blah, 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 and then Harold Ramis died. So it almost seems to me, and this was another big issue I had with this one, they tried to capitalize on Harold Ramis' death.
Yeah, that's
because
a good
the
point
news had been coming out, okay, Ghostbusters 3 is going to happen. He dies, and you have a year, maybe 2 years after that, okay, Ghostbusters the remake is coming out.
Yeah.
To me that was too soon.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, it does seem like kind of an attempted cash in.
Yeah.
It kind of does look that way now, and if there's one thing they could possibly do to redeem such backlash against this Ghostbusters movie, which when I went to the movies and saw it, I actually saw it in 3D, and the 3D effects to me were awesome. So, but the story needed more work, and the story needed more work. They should have thought this movie through a little bit more, and I think a way they could redeem it, possibly, since they can the sequel now, I would do a cartoon series, a brand new cartoon series with the lady characters, and I would try to build it up and see if you can get, and don't just do mindless story, put some thinking into it, because I go back to a lot of these old cartoons and a lot of these old movies. They didn't have the special effects that we do now, so they had to compensate.
Yeah, with a good story.
They compensated with good story. Like, you remember the movie Silver Bullet, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It had Gary Busey in it.
Yeah.
Did not have the special effects of the werewolf special effects that we see now. But the movie is scary and suspenseful. And that's a masterful technique. You don't have to have these special effects to be scary. Actually, it's what you don't see.
Yeah.
It's more scary. Then that goes to good writing.
Yeah.
And good.
It's like Rick Baker. He used to be like a big special effects guy. Guys like Rick Baker, Tom Savini. They were big in the 80s, stuff like that, for doing what they call practical effects.
Yeah.
And now that CGI is hit, you don't see many with practical effects because everything is CGI nowadays.
Yeah, they take the CGI road out. Well, they take the CGI, they take the easy road out.
Yeah.
Which ups the budget possibly in some ways because you have to have the CGI developed for these movies, and that can cost a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas in some cases they may not have to have that. So I mean. The movies, some movies may not feel very real. The special effects are great, but it doesn't feel like it's very as real as it could be.
And going back to what you said is, sometimes it's what you don't see. The first Halloween, which made like $40+ million in the box office, and when it came out, it was only made on a budget of $325,000. So I mean, there wasn't a lot of room for any kind of special effects there.
Right, exactly. So that goes that's masterful storytelling and development. That is yes, it was used to compensate for what they didn't have, but you appreciate it more because you've seen it in Jaws, you've seen it, like you said, Halloween, you've seen it in Silver Bullet, you've seen it in so many other movies where they use those ways of telling the story without having to have so many special effects.
Now, granted, in the original Ghostbusters, there were computer generated effects. It's unavoidable with the proton pack laser and some of the ghosts and stuff like that.
Yes.
But it wasn't oversaturated the way it was in that remake. You know, like the climactic scene where it was like just ghosts and stuff everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, they did kind of maybe go just a little overboard, or maybe a lot overboard with a bunch of ghosts just rampaging through New York, you know. And so, which a lot of that may not have been as necessary.
No.
To get the thing across, you know.
I think it was a case of, to me, it was a case of like oversaturation.
Yeah, a little bit of oversaturation done with too much going on, as far as on the screen and everything. Which kind of brings you to another modern day problem we have, it seems, with movies, is oversaturation of effects. Just in general. There's just an oversaturation of effects, which is weird. It's kind of strange for me to be saying it because I've always loved special effects. I've always loved
I love special effects if they're done right.
Yeah, they're done right. Yeah, and when you sit there and start overdoing it, but see, once again, you're doing the special effects over the story, and it's never going to turn out that good.
No.
A movie's almost always going to fail if you keep putting that over the story.
Okay, so you rate this one rentable.
I rate the movie. I would give it a C+ and say it's rentable. Go rent it, check it out, see if you like it. But I would highly recommend you watch the first Ghostbusters first. And the reason
if you haven't watched the first Ghostbusters, you need to just this is another one of those shame on you moments.
Unless you're a young millennial, that was born in the 2000s. If you haven't seen, like you said, if you haven't seen Ghostbusters by now, and you were born like in the 80s, like we were, where have you been?
Exactly.
Where have you been? So yeah. But I rate it rentable. I give it a C+. So. I know you.
Full on reject. I've got to get a full on reject. I can't. It's like when I did the Rocky Horror Picture Show remake or reject. I gave it full on reject. I've got to do the same for this one. It fell. To me, it fell flat on all points. There's not really any redeeming qualities to this movie for me. It just didn't work out.
It happens. And there's going to probably be movies where, I feel exactly the way he does, about a particular movie. And but, yeah, that's...
But Hollywood never has a shortage of remakes coming, so there's probably going to be plenty more of these videos.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the reboots and remakes. It seems to be a trend. It's not just, we've always had remakes. We've always had them.
We've always had remakes.
We've had Godzilla remakes. We've had King Kong remakes. We've had all those things. They've always happened. So, but it seems like in these last several years, Hollywood has ramped up the remakes.
Yeah, they really have.
Which also may prove something else too that we've talked about: lack of ideas.
Yeah, Hollywood's definitely run out of ideas.
I mean, lack of original creativity. It's like you got to keep going back and making remakes. Y'all can't make anything original anymore. I
think what really kills me is when they start doing remakes or reboots of franchises that are still going.
Yeah.
Big, and some of you guys are going to give me hate comments over this one, but I don't care. Take the X-Men, for example. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the X-Men, but like with X-Men First Class, I believe it was, they go back and they're doing like a reboot, but they still get the original storyline going on.
It's what they call, there's so many terms nowadays, so they call it a soft reboot.
Yeah.
Because it's still within the actual canon universe they've established, but it kind of goes back to a period that was untouched, kind of, and it gives you kind of a refreshing of the X-Men.
So to speak.
Whereas the only X-Men movie, we're going to have to close the review out, but the only X-Men movie that I disliked was X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I liked that one.
See what I mean?
I liked that one.
So I hated that one.
I loved it. And I'll tell you this, I am excited about Logan. I can't wait for that to come out.
Too. I am excited about Logan because I see Patrick Stewart in there, and it's like I'm a big fan of the comics, so I already know what the Old Man Logan story is about, and I can already tell that it's not going to follow, obviously, with the way they've established
No.
the movies, it's not going to follow it exactly.
No.
But I am definitely excited about it.
But I think we pretty much covered it,
Yeah,
and then some. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. Make sure you go check out my other videos. He's going to be in some more videos with me. We got more ideas and stuff coming up. So look for him in the future, and I'll see you later. Find a button to turn this off. I'm going to edit that out.